Winning Blueprint presents. It's the Redskins Report. So it's everything Redskins and anything of the sort. That's right, there's nothing here to hide. Skins colors are so bold, man, I wear 'em with pride. So get this Skins Report. Recap of Sunday's game and anything of the sort. Whether it's losses or wins, it's all skins. Come get it. I'm holding down the fort. You know why? 'Cause it's the Redskins Report. Man, can't nobody tell me that, man. I've been watching Redskins football since I was 3. Where were you at on January 12th, 1991? I know where I was at. I was in my room crying because the Redskins just lost to the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round of the playoffs. That's real. I'm serious. That's real. Man, just tune into the show, man. Just tune in. The Redskins Report.
This is the Redskins Report, the Baltimore Ravens preview edition. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Lou. Look, it's week 14. The Redskins are 6-6. Have an opportunity to get to 7-6, get over 500 for the first time. Check this. Don't laugh. Since week 1, when they were 1-0, when they beat the New Orleans Saints. It's been a long time since we've been able to say, hey, we're over 500. We've been able to peek our little heads over that 500 mark. It'd be nice to go ahead and get that accomplished. There's been a lot of debate going on whether, this game is one that is expendable. Hey, we could drop this one. It's the AFC game. I've even hinted at that myself. I'm not saying that this is a game that we can lose. I was just saying that if there was a game that we dropped, this needed to be it. Not saying that we need to lose or I want to lose or it's okay to lose. Not saying that at all. We don't have any margin of error. We dug ourselves a hole earlier in this season, starting 3-6, losing to teams like the Carolina Panthers. We don't have any margin for error. Losing isn't an option anymore. What I was saying was we can't lose any more games in the NFC. That is definitely not an option. The easiest way to take ourselves out of this playoff race is to lose a game in the NFC because those count way more than an AFC matchup against any team in the AFC. But it doesn't matter. Like I said at the end of the last episode, it doesn't matter anymore. Who the opponent is, what conference you're in, who you are, where the game is, it doesn't matter. We got to win the game. At the end of the day, a win is a win is a win is a win, and we got to win the game. So, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about, hey, it's an AFC game. If we're going to drop one, this is going to be it. Listen, this is a huge game for so many reasons. All right, I don't need to really tell you why it's a huge game, but I'm going to anyway. That's what I do. First things first. You take last week out of the equation, the Redskins haven't beat an opponent over 500 all season long. You look at their wins. Saints, they're 5-7. Vikings, they're 6-6. Buccaneers, 6-6. Eagles, 3-9. Cowboys, 6-6. And we beat the Giants last week for our 6th win. They're the only team we've ever beat this season that's over 500. At the time when we beat them, and over 500 right now as it stands. So we haven't beat really good teams this season. Okay? Not to diminish what we've done. Because again, I don't care who it is. I don't care how you get it. It's a win. Just get them, stockpile them up like bricks. And at the end of the season, let them sort it out and tell us where we need to show up to play our playoff game. That's all I care about. Get the wins. However, it's crunch time now. Finish line's here. Everyone can see it. It's a dead sprint. Everyone's got their head down right now. And they're just taking off. First 6, in each conference to get to the finish line gets to play more football. Everyone else that finishes the race, but they finish after 6th, you got to go home. Nice season. Thanks for playing. Time for you to go. We need to be one of those first 6 to cross that finish line in the NFC. That's what our goal is. So we have to do. There's really nothing else to talk about. And so beating the Ravens helps us cross that finish line first. It's one of the first 6 participants in the NFC. Losing to the Ravens, that's a cramp. Losing to the Ravens, that's an untied shoelace that you trip over. Losing to the Ravens is something that hinders us from getting to that finish line as one of the first 6 teams in the NFC. So we need to have this game. Really nothing else to say about that. Now, I don't know about you guys. I'm not from, the DMV area. I'm not from, the Baltimore, Maryland, little Washington Beltway area. So this game doesn't mean much to me in terms of a rivalry. I could care less about the Baltimore Ravens. Honestly, I just want to beat them and get them the hell out of the way. Honestly. Could care less about the Ravens, who they are, what they represent, anything like that. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Does this game mean a lot more to you than maybe some of these other games, especially teams in the AFC? Because it doesn't to me. I just want to beat them. I see them as a target. I just want to throw it right at the bullseye. Hit it, move on. Now, I want to win this game because it means we beat an actual quality opponent this season. These guys are 9-3 right now. This would mean we actually beat a team that is no doubt about it. They're going to the playoffs. Every other team we beat this season, there's no guarantee that they're making it to the postseason. As a matter of fact, again, you take the Giants out of the equation, no team that we've beat thus far this season is actually in the playoffs. As it stands right now, if the playoffs started today, no team other than the Giants would be in the playoffs that we've beaten. So it means a lot to say, hey, we beat one of the better teams in the league if we were able to take the Ravens down on Sunday. And that's another reason why I really want this game. So let me tell you a little bit of how I'm feeling right now about this game before we actually get into strategy and what it's going to take to beat these Ravens. Okay, I had told you on the Week 14 edition of the Redskins Report that I was going to talk about Cedric Griffin. So let's talk about Cedric Griffin. That hurt like hell because Cedric Griffin was playing really good football. When we picked him up in the offseason, I really liked the move. I know what Cedric Griffin is about. I've been watching him in Minnesota for a long time and knew what he was coming out of Texas. It was just what the doctor ordered. We needed another corner, especially a guy that could be interchangeable, play in the slot, play out wide. And I didn't know at the time when we got him that we were going to take D'Angelo Hall and move him inside. Once teams started putting 3 and 4 receivers on the field, we were going to slide D'Angelo Hall into the slot. I didn't know that at the time. So him playing outside, because he's a boundary corner, meaning he needs to use out of bounds as help. Some guys, they're able to play in the slot. They're able to play with each side of the field available to the receiver, and they can change directions quickly and keep up with the receiver. All guys, all corners aren't like that. Some of them need to be outside so that the option of you running left or you running right is taken away because the out of bounds line is there. You can't run but so far to the left or the right because you're going to run out of real estate. That's what Cedric Griffin is. And it's okay. He's great at what he does. He tackles well. He's a big physical corner. He's not going to be able to win many foot races. Not asking him to do that. What we've been doing of late, playing a lot of 2-deep zone, 2-deep coverage, which means both safeties are over the top, watching your back. So you should be able to take some chances at the line of scrimmage, which Cedric seems to love to do. And I love that. How many Redskin corners get in the face of the receiver, jam them at the line of scrimmage, and make them work getting off the line of scrimmage to get into their route? Not many, but Cedric Griffin is one of them. Or at least he was. We'll be missing his services for the last 4 games of the season, and that's going to hurt. Because you can't tell me you didn't see his impact against the Giants. I've seen it all season when he's played because he was injured. And we felt his presence or lack thereof when he was gone. When we played the Bengals, Who all remembers Richard Crawford having to play in a slot and having Andrew Hawkins run a slant route over the middle of the field, catch it and run for a touchdown as we lost that game to the Cincinnati Bengals 38-31. That was the biggest play in the game because that was the last touchdown that they scored, and that was the one that put it away. That was the last time also that you've seen Richard Crawford this year. You haven't seen him really since then. But Cedric Griffin was gone for a nice chunk of the middle of the season, and that's when we struggled the most stopping the pass. Teams were racking up passing yards like crazy on us in that stretch. Now he's gone again. So it's going to take some good scheming by Jim Haslett, some great scheming by Jim Haslett to really make up that void that Cedric Griffin is going to leave behind. And yeah, he was suspended for PEDs, and really what it all boils down to is Adderall. That's what it's going to be. It's Adderall, which is, as we all know, a drug used to combat ADHD. So if you don't have ADHD and you take it, it gives you razor sharp focus, quick reflexes. It makes your reflexes that much quicker. And so guys have been trying to take it to give them a little bit of an advantage, especially if you're a cornerback. That's the same reason the Seattle Seahawks corners are being suspended, because they had a little bit of Adderall in one of their drinks. They crushed it up, put it in a drink, and used it. And it's supposed to help your performance. I don't know how much it does, but the NFL says it's an advantage, and so it is what it is. I think that it's so easy to get a positive test because it's so many amphetamines that are on the list. I think this testing system that the NFL has may be a little flawed, but that's no here nor there. Fact of the matter is, he tried to use the Adderall, he got caught, he has to pay the price for it. And he knew the rules, he knew the game, he knew the rules to the game, he played and he lost. So we're without Cedric Griffin for 4 games. And that's going to hurt down the stretch because, again, he had been playing great. He tackles. That's the one thing I love about Cedric Griffin because we don't have a lot of good tacklers on this team. How many times have we seen a team catch a 4-yard pass on 3rd and 6, make a guy miss, get 8 yards, first down? Nothing drives me crazier than that. Cedric Griffin, he has none of that. You know, we saw Victor Cruz catch a pass underneath on 3rd down, and Cedric Griffin come up and sling him down on the ground as if he were a rag doll. That's what we need, that kind of physicality. That's what he brought to the table. He's now gone. Okay, so Terrell Suggs, injury, torn bicep. Willie, won't he play? Look, we got D'Angelo Hall in a walking boot earlier in the week. Trent Williams can barely move with that hip. You got guys that are really banged up right now. This is the thing you need to know, and you really don't need to know anything else. It's week 14. Teams are scratching and clawing and doing everything they can to try to make the postseason. Anything less than a loss of a limb, and they're probably going to play at this point. So if Terrell Suggs goes to the doctor and they tell him, look, your bicep is torn, but you can't do any more damage to it. You're going to need surgery, and you're not going to have as much power in that arm as you normally do, but you can grip, and you're going to have functions with that arm. He's going to play. So for any of you out there that think he's not going to play in this game, you're sadly mistaken. I saw Adrian Wilson, the safety of the Cardinals, play a whole season with a torn bicep. So if he can do it, trust me, Terrell Suggs will be in the lineup on Sunday. So if you thought he wasn't playing, forget about that. So that's just a little bit of what I'm thinking right now. You look at those 2 corners that are replacing Cedric Griffin. The Redskins are going to use 2 corners to replace one, basically. They signed a guy, DJ Johnson, big, tall, 6'1" corner. He's a journeyman corner. He's been in the league for about 3 years. Really, he's been in the league longer than that. You know, he's been in the league about 5 years, but he's only really played in 3 seasons, and sparingly. The Redskins have had him for about 2 seasons or so. He just never really played. He's played a few times this season, but you probably didn't even notice him. He'll be in the game some. Whoever's playing better will get the nod, basically, is what Mike Shanahan is saying. He's going to give both of them a try between DJ Johnson and Richard Crawford. We saw Richard earlier in the season. He struggled. Now I think he sees the speed of the game, because it's one thing to have success in the preseason, it's another thing to do it in the regular season. And Richard Crawford didn't get it done in the regular season. I like Richard Crawford. I liked him at the beginning of the season. Corners are going to get beat. With corners, it's trial and error. You try something, you fail at it, you realize what you've made a mistake at, you don't make the same mistake again. That's all it is. And so he got burned earlier in the season. He hopefully learned from that experience, and he's a better corner for it. Because I like his ball skills. I like his athleticism. I like his ability to run. So if he can give us anything at corner, he made a strong quote this week. And I really like his attitude coming back and getting another opportunity. He said, look, if coach decides to put me in, whenever he decides to put me in, I won't be the reason we don't make it to the playoffs. I'm going to get the job done. And that's all I want to hear right now. This time of season, that's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear anything else. I just want to hear I'm going to get the job done no matter what the circumstances are. That's the perfect attitude to have. You put me in, and it won't be my fault we don't get where we're going. I'm going to do my job. That's all I want to hear. That's the perfect attitude to have. Hopefully he'll be able to come in and do just that. Get it done, and we can just see him on the field and not have to call his name because he's getting beat. But call his name because he's making a play. He's making an impact on the game. Let's hope that's the case. So let's get into what it is we have to do to beat this Baltimore Ravens team. This is a good football team. They haven't been playing their best football of late. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. We can't worry about what they did 2 weeks ago against the Chargers where they needed a 4th and 29 conversion to win that game. We don't need to worry about what they did against their division rivals. That was family business. Between them and the Steelers, you don't pay attention to that. That's their business, none of ours. We leave that game alone because what goes on between those two teams stays between those two teams. We have nothing to do with that. So just because Charlie Batch was able to get it done doesn't mean that means we can get it done. We need to focus on us. And right now, I think we're one of the most dangerous offenses in the National Football League. No one wants a part of this offense, and that's why it's imperative that we make it to the postseason. Because if we get in there, trust me, there's some damage to be done, and some serious, irreparable damage to be done if we put this offense on some of these teams in the NFC. They will not know how to respond. I mean, look what we did to the Giants. The Giants are one of the better defenses in the NFC, especially from a pass rush standpoint. And they were able to get 0 because they were on their heels the whole game. I feel like we can do that to anyone in the league. We can neutralize any pass rush. And really, we should be able to run the ball on anyone because we're the #1 rush offense in the league for a reason. I mean, we have a two-headed monster that is just unstoppable. Flat out. This offensive line is getting it done. Our running back, Alfred Morris, getting it done. Our quarterback, Robert Griffin III, getting it done. And so, no one wants to see us. But look, I say this all the time, and I'm going to continue to say it one game at a time. You can't win 4 at once. You can only win 1 at once. So, let's get this one first, and we'll talk about the next one, then the next one, then the next one, and then we'll talk about possibly going to the postseason. I got a little tease for you guys. If we win this game, I'm going to start talking reckless. And I invite you to do the same, but this one is big first. Because, to me, not overlooking anyone down the road, this is the biggest obstacle we have left in our quest to get to that finish line. This is the last hurdle. Honestly, the last huge hurdle. Now, we're not a good enough team to overlook anyone and say, hey, that's a game we should win. But I tell you what, this is the last team on our schedule that has a winning record right now. And you look at the Browns, you look at the Eagles, you look at the Cowboys, none of them have records over 500. This is the last team on our schedule that has a winning record. So if there's ever going to be a slip-up, it's probably going to be this week. That's why this game is so big. We need to take care of business. So, Ravens. First thing that jumps off the page at me that scares the hell out of me is the passing game. I don't know how you feel about Joe Flacco. How do you feel about Joe Flacco? Because I'll tell you what, I think Joe Flacco is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I hear a lot of people bash Joe Flacco. They talk about how bad he is. If you think Joe Flacco's not a good quarterback, you're fooling yourself. Now, he's not always on point. He's not always razor sharp. I'm not saying he's Peyton Manning, he's Drew Brees, he's Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is he's right outside of that group. He's on the fringe of that group. That elite group, that's a small, tight window and a close-knit group of quarterbacks. There's not many that can penetrate and infiltrate that group. But Joe Flacco is right on the outside of that. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear the elite tag, but it applies to some quarterbacks in the league. Not everyone, but there's some quarterbacks in the league that they're just different. They're just special. They're not like the rest. Those guys are elite. Joe Flacco isn't quite there yet. But I tell you one thing, you hand Joe Flacco the ball with the Ravens trailing or the game tied, one timeout, a minute and 12 seconds left, 75 yards in front of him, Joe Flacco will get you where you need to go, whether it's just a field goal that you need or you need a touchdown. I haven't seen many opportunities when the Ravens have handed him the ball and told him to go get them a touchdown, and he hasn't responded. I mean, we've seen him beat the Steelers at the end of ball games. We've seen him take his team down the field, AFC Championship game against the Patriots last year, only to have Lee Evans drop the football. He breastfed him. You can't hand the guy the ball any better than Joe Flacco threw that football. He just dropped it. Joe Flacco did his job. He took his team down the field to win that football game. Every time I've seen Joe Flacco in a situation like that, 9 times out of 10, he's gotten the job done. So I respect Joe Flacco because, as you know, if you don't, I'll tell you this again. That's how I gauge a quarterback. What you do when it's crunch time. When I hand you the ball and tell you, hey, man, this is it. We don't have any timeouts. We only got one timeout. We got to have it. We're down 4. We need a touchdown. Here's the ball. Go get us a win. Hey, we're down 3. We need a field goal or we need a touchdown. Here you go. Get us to overtime or get us a win. We're down 2. Here's the ball. We need a field goal. We don't have any timeouts. It's only 47 seconds on the clock. Get us a field goal. Win the game. If you can do that, you've got respect by me. Because that's what I think makes an NFL quarterback. Not what you do from quarters 1 to 3. Because, yeah, you need to be good. You need to be a great ball handler. You need to be a great leader. You need to be all those things to be a great quarterback in the National Football League. But when the pressure's its greatest, that's what separates you from the rest of the league. Everyone can be Matthew Stafford from quarters 1 to 3. Rack up, 400 yards passing in the game. But when I give you the football, tell you we need a touchdown, can you go get it? That's the difference between being 4-8 in the Detroit Lions and being 9-3 in the Baltimore Ravens. And that's why I like Joe Flacco. So if you think Joe Flacco can't get it done, you're fooling yourself. Joe Flacco is a good quarterback, and the first thing that scares me about this Ravens team is this passing attack. Because Torrey Smith is a deep threat. And as we all know, we are lacking in the secondary. We're shorthanded in the secondary. We struggle in the secondary. Madu Williams, all we see is the back of his jersey most times, chasing down a receiver. We can't afford for our safeties to be trailing in place. They need to be the last line of defense, as a safety is supposed to be. I don't want to see Torrey Smith running free in our secondary because I tell you what, Joe Flacco doesn't miss the deep ball often. He's going to miss it sometimes, but I tell you what, you don't want to give him opportunities. The one thing I tell you about the Ravens, they take deep shots. They're not like the Giants, take 1 or 2 and then just try to dink and dunk everything else down the field. They're going to attack us. If they see opportunities to go up top, they'll throw 5 or 6 or 7 deep shots. And if they throw 7 deep shots, they're going to hit 2 or 3 of them. So we need to be deep enough to not allow Torrey Smith, Tandon Doss, and all these Ravens speedsters, Jacoby Jones, to get behind us. We can't allow this to happen. We have to stay back. If they want to dink and dunk us to death and use Anquan Bolden, intermediate routes, have at it. So you know what that means. Let me spell it out for you if you don't. We're not going to get pass rush in this game. Because that means we can't blitz. It's just like the Giants game. I was going crazy watching that first half of the Giants game because Eli Manning had all day to throw. But that was Jim Haslett's plan, and that's going to be his plan in this game. My whole thing was second half of the season, After that Cowboys game when we blitzed, after that Eagles game when we blitzed, hey, blitz, get pressure. Get after the quarterback. I don't care if we get beat blitzing. Go down in a blaze of glory. That's how I thought that we should go. That's what I thought the smart thing to do was. No, that's not the smart thing to do. Jim Haslett is right here. I'm wrong. He's right on this one. Don't go after the quarterback. Because when you go after the quarterback and you don't get there, now you're one catch away. Just like we saw in the Cincinnati Bengals game. We came after Andy Dalton. He's a young quarterback. We thought we could confuse him. Thought we could throw some pressure at him make some mistakes. And we did one time. He threw us an interception for a touchdown. But he'd hit us for about 2 or 3 touchdowns too. Remember, the first play of the game, we came with pressure. They go with the wildcat look. Mohamed Sanu hits us for a touchdown, first play of the game, right out the box. Okay, we blitz Andy Dalton. They throw a simple out route to Armand Benz. Josh Wilson misses a tackle, up the sideline, no Redskin in sight, touchdown. Those are the things that happen when you blitz and you don't get there. And so you got to make teams work for their touchdowns. Look what happened against the Giants. Yeah, Eli was carving us up. 3rd and 15, 3rd and 12, it didn't matter. Martellus Bennett was open all game long. Didn't matter. They picked it up. But what hurt the Giants is we made them go 10 plays, 11 plays, 13 plays every single time they look to get points. And by doing that, you make teams drive the ball the length of the field and use up a lot of plays. And when you do that, you open up the ability for them to make mistakes. The more plays you run, the more likely it is something occurs that stops you from scoring a touchdown. Whether it's a holding penalty, whether it's a false start, delay a game, some kind of procedure penalty, a ball is tipped or batted in the air and it's a wasted down. Something goes awry 7 times out of 10 when you have a double-digit play drive. Something's going to stop you from getting in the end zone. You get sacked, a loss of 2 on first down on a running play. All of a sudden, now you're in 2nd and long, and now you have to take to the air twice. You get an incompletion on 2nd down. Now it's 3rd and 12. All of a sudden, that nice drive that you had going at 7-play, 47-yard drive is now in 3rd and 12. You don't pick it up. Now you have to punt. Those are the things you have to do later on in the season when you can't get pressure. And that's what Jim Haslett has chosen to do. I'm fine with it. I've already come to a realization that we're not going to get pressure. But what we have to do is hold up. We have to play that bend but don't break defense like we've been playing over the last couple of weeks. Because we can't afford for an 88, 85-yard touchdown pass to Torrey Smith like we got against the Cowboys when Des Bryant quick striked us, hit us because we decided we wanted to come on the blitz, didn't get to Tony Romo, hits Des Bryant in stride, and he's gone. Off to the races. Can't have that happen. We're not a good enough team to just give up points. Because our offense is good enough to score, but we're not good enough to just give them away. So we got to make sure we make teams work for everything they get. They go, 13, 14 plays, and they have an 82-yard drive and they score a touchdown. Kudos to them. They got the job done. But that's our job. Make them work for that. Because more times than not, that drive is going to result in a field goal. So that's one thing that scares me about this Ravens team. Another thing that scares me, I love our special teams in terms of us just being a solid, consistent special teams unit. We don't give up big plays. We don't give up punt returns. We don't give up kickoff returns. For the most part, I feel confident that Kai Forbath isn't going to kick it in the end zone for a touchback. You already know that. You've seen it. You know what he's about. I don't care that he doesn't kick it out of the end zone because our special teams unit is good enough to get stops when he kicks it off and they return it. This is a different animal this week, though. This is Jacoby Jones. We need to be at our best. We can't afford to have a lapse in special teams, any kind of blunder. We got to make sure we bring him down. This guy has speed to burn. And he gets a hole, he gets a seam, we're not going to catch him. There's not one person on our special teams unit that's going to walk this guy down. He gets a seam, he's going to break that crease, and he's going to go. We've seen him do it 3 times this season already. He did it to Dallas. He did it to the Steelers. But he's done it at least 3 times this season. So, this guy is dangerous. He's explosive. He's C4. Gotta corral this guy, bring him down. Can't afford to give up any cheapies. No touchdowns in the special teams game for the Ravens. They want to score, they need to do it on offense. We can't give it to them on defense, can't give it to them on special teams. And we're going to have to score points in this game. We're going to have to score. 17 was good enough on Monday night. That's usually not good enough to win in the National Football League. Got to score points. We want to win this game. The Ravens aren't going to give us anything. They're 9-3 for a reason. They're not going to give us anything. We're going to have to earn everything we get, and I'm fine with that. They give us the football, make these drives count. Can't have turnovers. And Alfred Morris isn't a guy that fumbles that often, and Robert Griffin III isn't a guy that turns it over himself that often. So I'm not really worried about that part of the game. Just take these possessions, drive the ball down the field. We get opportunities to make plays, we got to take them. There was a couple of times guys were open and Robert just didn't see him. And it's okay, it's going to happen. But if we get opportunities, Santana Moss is running wide open down the field like he was against the Giants, you got to hit that. You got to look for it and you got to hit it. We don't get opportunities with guys running wide open often. But if they're doing it, you got to hit them. Got to take advantage of those opportunities. This Ravens defense isn't the defense that you're used to seeing. This isn't a defense you're accustomed to seeing being dominant. They can be ran on. They can be passed on. We can do anything we want to do on this defense. But it takes execution. Great play calling, flawless execution by the players on the field. And I think we can get that done. This Ravens defense does not scare me whatsoever. Not one bit. We should be able to run the ball. And don't listen to all these people that tell you, hey, they got the 24th, 25th ranked rush defense. You got the number 1 rush offense. Hey, you can run the ball on these guys all day. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. Yeah, we can run the ball. We can run the ball on anybody. Not just because they're the Ravens and they're struggling stopping the run. We can run it on anybody. But don't listen to them. Don't buy the hype. Just because they stink on defense, stopping the run, and we're great at rush offense doesn't mean we're just going to line up and pound them. Okay? We still got to go out and do it. But don't get it twisted. Don't make the mistake of thinking just because we rack up 200 yards of rush offense on these guys, we're going to win the game. The Chiefs did it. The Cowboys did it. And they both lost the game against the Ravens. So just rushing the football against these guys means nothing. You got to actually turn those rushing yards into points. And we got to play good enough defense to make those points hold up. So that's another thing we need to look at in this game is running the football and making these possessions count for something. It's okay to get a 47-yard gain like we did against the Giants on Monday. But you also have to score at the end of that possession. And we didn't. We fumbled the football away. Those are empty yards if you don't score. So the key is get something, whether it's a Kai Forbath field goal or a touchdown. Get something, though. We can't be running the football, picking up chunks, only to punt because we get a holding penalty, and it's 2nd and 20 and we don't pick it up. Got to be more efficient, and that's something that has been down of late, is penalties. That's great. We need to be a more disciplined team, and we've been that for the most part last few weeks. Need to continue to be that moving forward. I like the fact that we're not the team self-destructing. Let the other team do that. The crowd needs to show up, be loud like they've been in the past, and force Joe Flacco and the Ravens to burn timeouts, make mistakes, line up wrong, can't communicate like we did to the Giants. Yeah, that's great. That's what we need. Don't allow us to be the team that makes mistakes, that puts us in 3rd and long, 2nd and long, because we're making mistakes. Holding, illegal formation, false start. Let's not be the team that does that. Let that be the Ravens. Defensively, got to try to stop Ray Rice. That's a tough task. Ray Rice, he does it all. He catches it out of the backfield. He can block. He can run the football. I'm just looking to slow him down. We can't allow him to do what Ahmad Bradshaw did to us on Monday. If we do that, we're in trouble. Because Ahmad Bradshaw had an excellent game against us on Monday. And I'm not used to that. That's foreign to my eyes. I didn't know what I was looking at because that's not the run defense I've come to know and love. My run defense doesn't give it up. I mean, Ahmad was getting what he wanted. So that's something that we got to clean up. We can't allow them to pass and run on us. They got to choose what they want to do. And if they're allowed to run and pass, that's trouble for us. That spells trouble because now play action fake works. Safeties get nosy. Torrey Smith over the top. We don't need that in our life. We don't need that in our lives because that is trouble with a capital T. So, Ray's going to get his. He's going to get, a few games. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Get your hands on him. Tackle him. You can't tackle him. Slow him down. Hold on. Wait for help. But we got to corral Ray Rice. Joe Flacco's going to throw the football. And when he throws the football, he's going to give you opportunities to make plays. We should have at least one opportunity with Joe. Because the thing I like about Joe Flacco, he's fearless. He doesn't care. So just because a defender is there doesn't mean he's not going to throw the football. He's a risk taker. And when you're a risk taker, sometimes you win. And that risk is paid off with a great reward. And sometimes you lose. And that risk turns into a huge mistake. But that's the nature of the beast. Good quarterbacks aren't afraid. They're fearless. Because they trust in their abilities. And so he's going to make some throws. And we're going to have opportunities to make plays. We need to make those plays. Not saying we're going to make all of them. But if we can make one or two of them, that might be the difference in the game. Now, don't expect to get a lot of pressure on them. It'd be nice if we got some pressure. Not asking to get a ton of pressure. It'd be nice to get some pressure. Because if we can get to Joe Flacco, he will throw the football up. He doesn't mind just throwing it up in the air for grabs. I've seen him do it many times before. But if we allow him to sit back there, get comfortable in the pocket, step into a throw, we could be in for a long day. And honestly, I don't know what we're going to do defensively to keep them out of the end zone. Because I can see this Ravens team putting 27 points on the scoreboard in this game. Just because there's not enough resistance from our defense. So what that means is offensively, and I say this all the time, we got to get points. And I'm not just talking about threes. Threes are nice. Sevens are great. We need to get sevens. When sevens are an option, we need to take full advantage of them. Because field goals aren't going to beat the Ravens. That's just how I feel. Because I think offensively they can score 24, 27 points. You're not going to be able to field goal them to death. Now, they've had some games where they've struggled to score. They struggled to score against San Diego. They struggled to score against the Browns earlier in the season. They struggled to score against the Steelers. That's family business. That's not us. And we don't play defense like those teams. So we need to do what it is that we need to do to score points offensively. Just to ensure that even if they are having a good game offensively, we can keep pace. If they're not, and we're getting it done offensively, then they're in trouble. Then the pressure's on them. Either way, that bodes well for us. We just need to make sure we're getting it done offensively. End of discussion. Do our job on offense. I think we'll be fine in this game. So, small little recap on what it's going to take to beat this Ravens team. We can't turn the football over. Really hasn't been an issue for us all year, except for that Giants game. Don't expect it to be an issue in this game. Don't turn the football over. Penalties. Can't have them. Can't have them. We need to be the better team in that department. If someone's going to have penalties, allow it to be the Ravens. Can't be us. We're not good enough to overcome penalties. Special teams can't give it up. Can't give it up to Jacoby Jones. Can't do it. Got to be stout in our special teams coverage. I'm not asking for our special teams to be special. I'm just asking for them to be what they've been all season long. Solid and consistent. Stop Jacoby Jones. Don't allow him to break anything on us. Limit the deep ball. Joe might connect on one or two. Don't allow those to go for touchdowns. Don't allow Joe to connect with 4 or 5 of these things. Okay? We're going to get beat over the top once or twice. Don't let it be for 7. They get us over the top, fine. Make the tackle. Make them drive and put that ball in the end zone themselves. Don't allow them to get in the end zone because we allow them to catch the football and be 4 steps ahead of us without a defender in sight and they score an easy touchdown. or we get pass interference because we didn't look for the football. I'm talking to you, Josh Wilson. Look for the football, please. Joe Flacco's going to throw it up 3 or 4 times in your direction. You have to look for the football. If you don't, they're going to throw the flag. It's going to be PI, and it's probably going to be deep in our territory. Please look for the football. Please. No cheapies. No cheapies. Defensively, got to try to stop the run. Got to try to limit the run and the effectiveness of Ray Rice. They put Bernard Pierce in the game. Stop his butt. Okay? Ray Rice, that's one thing. Bernard Pierce, no. He gets in the game, stop his hind parts. We don't let rookies come in the game and get numbers. Forget about that. He gets in the game to spell Ray Rice. That's when we need to attack. No yards for Bernard Pierce. No. Ray Rice gets in the game, limit Ray Rice's effectiveness to the best of our abilities. Can't say stop him, but try to limit what he does. We struggle with athletic, rangy tight ends. Ed Dixon probably won't play in this game. He's banged up. We will get some of Dennis Pitta, though. Look, I'm not asking for London Fletcher to be able to cover him. We've seen that London Fletcher can't cover tight ends. He can run with them. He just never looks for the football. So they usually catch the football. We got to limit Dennis Pitta's effectiveness. Can't allow him to go off on us. We've let tight ends go bananas on us all season long. Whether it's been Kyle Rudolph of the Vikings, Jermaine Gresham of the Bengals, Jimmy Graham of the Saints, Tony Gonzalez of the Falcons, Martellus Bennett of the Giants. We've let some tight ends run wild in our secondary. Can't allow that to happen against the Ravens. Offensively, we got to run our offense. Just be who we are. Be proficient at what we do. We do that, the Ravens won't be able to stop us. Run the football. Don't be cute. Don't try to be fancy. Do what it is we do. We pound teams into submission. We beat you up on the ground with Robert Griffin III and Alfred Morris, and we use that effectiveness on the ground to aid our passing game. Don't change up what we are. You know, I thought that we came out in that Giants game and we tried to be cute. We tried to pass on 3 straight plays and it almost cost us getting a first down on the first possession of the game. Let's not do that. It's okay to throw on first down. I'm fine with that. We don't get a completion, run it on second down with Alfred Morris. Get us to third and manageable, and then let's see what we can do. Don't be cute. Do what's got us 6 wins this season, and that's pound teams into submission with the run game. Be efficient in our execution on offense. No penalties. Stay away from the penalties. You know, last week we got a bogus penalty on Logan Paulson for offensive pass interference. Stop the drive right in its tracks. We were going for points on that drive. Instead, we got a penalty. We had to punt. Be effective on offense. Be efficient on offense. Take some deep shots. This Ravens secondary is banged up. Know where Ed Reed is. Avoid him at all costs. And take some shots. They can be had in the secondary as well. Not just on the ground. This Ravens defense stinks everywhere. They're just like us. They stink on defense. Take advantage of it. Take some shots. I didn't see enough of Aldrick Robinson last week. That's okay. Maybe the Giants made a concerted effort to take away the deep ball. I looked at the film, but it didn't seem like they were doing anything overly aggressive to take away the deep ball. Maybe that's not what the game plan was last week. I don't know. I don't care. Let's get Aldrick Robinson involved. Let's get some deep shots going. Let's try to exploit this Ravens pass defense as well as their rush defense. And get in the red zone, score touchdowns. Get points. You know, sometimes you're going to have to settle for 3. Make it count. Whatever we do, get points. I want touchdowns, though. Ravens get in the red zone. Got to bend but don't break. Got to hold them for field goals sometimes. We're not going to hold them for field goals all the time, but got to hold them for field goals some of the time. Again, just like I said last week against the Giants. And we did a great job of it. This won us a game last week against the Giants. It really did. Forcing them to kick field goals. He missed 1. He made 3. And that was our saving grace. If they get 2 touchdowns, they win that game. Maybe they win that game. I can't say they win, but maybe they win that game. But they didn't get 2 touchdowns. They got 1 and they kicked 3 field goals. Or kicked 4 and made 3 field goals. And that was a testament to our defense bending but never breaking. Yeah, you had 11 and 13 and 13 play drives, but you didn't get in the end zone every time. You had to settle for field goals. And that was the difference in the game. We need that to happen again for the Ravens. They can drive the ball all they want because we're going to give them opportunities to make plays and drive the football down the field because we're not coming after Joe Flacco. I realize that. We're not going to come after Joe Flacco because we don't want to get beat over the top. I'm fine with that. Make them be methodical in their approach and be efficient and make them play mistake-free football. And that's hard to do in the National Football League. Make them do that. But we got to stop them from getting in the end zone too. Make them kick field goals. We do that and we score touchdowns of our own. I like our chances. Last week, we were 1 of 3 in the red zone. Can't have that this week. We were 1 of 3 in the red zone. Had to settle for 1 field goal. We fumbled 1 time, and then we scored 1 touchdown. Can't have that happen this game. Gotta be more efficient in the red zone if we want to beat the Ravens. We go 1 of 3 in the red zone this week, we're probably going to be talking about an L on Monday. We get it done in the red zone, and we do exactly what we did to the Giants and forcing the Ravens to kick field goals. We'll be smiling and talking about why this Week 15 matchup is just as big, if not bigger, than the last few matchups we've had. And that's a good thing. That means we're doing something right. So, I feel like we can get it done. We're going to have to score points to do it, though. Redskins win this one 29-24 as we take the Ravens down and beat the best opponent that we've seen all season long, record-wise, in the Baltimore Ravens. We take them down. We're a good enough team to do it. And really, we're running out of options. We don't have a choice but to win. That's all we can do is win. We lose this game, we're not out of it. Again, I remind you, 7 losses, 9 wins might win this division. It just might. Because the Giants have a tough stretch. They got the Falcons. They got the Ravens. They got a tough stretch. They got the Saints on Sunday. They're at home for that one. They go on the road to Atlanta. They go on the road to Baltimore through the Giants. They got some losable games. So 7 losses, 9 wins might win this division. The Cowboys got a tough stretch. They got to go to Cincinnati this week. They got Pittsburgh at home. They got some tough matchups. They got to come to Washington. They got some games that they could lose. So 9 wins could win this division. So even if we lose this game, we're not done. But that doesn't need to be an option. That shouldn't even be in our vocabulary right now. Just win. Tunnel vision. All we should see is winning. Nothing else matters. 29-24, we get it done, and we'll be back here talking about winning on Monday. That's what I see happening. Because I feel confident about this group and what we can get done, what we can accomplish. And you should too. We're a good football team. And if we win this game, I'm telling you right now, I'm coming back and I'm going to start talking reckless. I'm going to start asking you a whole bunch of questions. And we should feel good about ourselves. But we got to get this one first. Before I can start talking reckless, start using the P word all over the place, start asking you a whole bunch of asinine questions, we got to win against the Ravens. That happens, I'll start talking crazy. But until then, I'm a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskin spirit will never die. My Redskin spirit will never fold. And as always, hail to the Redskins. Let's get it done. The Ravens are in the way. They're in the way. We got a goal. We're trying to cross the finish line as one of the first 6 participants in the NFC. Ravens are in the way. They're a hurdle. They're a cramp. They're an untied shoestring that trips you up. We don't have time for that. It's a dead sprint. All we need to be doing is keeping our head down and striding as fast as we can and get to that finish line. We can be one of the first 6. But it's going to take some wins. Got to have this one. And I don't see why we can't have it. See you on Monday or Tuesday, depending on how good I feel about this win or the performance or whatever the case may be. I'll see you next week. We'll talk Ravens. We'll put a bow on this game and we'll move on. Whatever the outcome is, we'll put a bow on it and we'll move on. But I expect it to be a win. I expect it to be a win. Nothing else. Anything less than a win will be uncivilized. And so I will see you next week and we'll be talking about this win that we get over the Ravens. Have a good one. Let's get it done.
The Redskins Report.